Well, this is a hunt I look forward to every year, and that's with Tim Craig and Boulder Creek Outfitters. You know, when you come out here, you can see elk, mule deer, or whitetails. And with the elk, you need to be prepared for close encounters, 25 yards, or out to long range shooting out to 500. If you're in deep dark timber, you could be cow calling, you could be bugling, and next thing you know, that bull's coming. He's within 50 yards or bow range. Or you could be sitting up here on these hills and glassing, and all at once there's another herd of elk out there at 500 yards. And it's really neat because you can watch them, see what they're doing, get around them, get the wind right, and hunt them, actually hunt them. And it's so much fun to watch those elk in their natural habitat, just feeding on these hillsides. And you can stalk in the canyons, shoot across canyons, go way down in, and believe me, some of this stuff is rough hunting. You know, the fourth morning of the hunt is probably one I'll never forget. We knew those elk were back there in the crow's nest. We hadn't bothered them, hadn't spooked them, so we headed back there. And that morning, when we eased up over there right at daylight, we looked out and there's 3 bulls standing. 2 small ones and a half-decent 4-point, 5-point, couldn't quite tell what he was, but they had us pinned down. We really couldn't move, didn't want to move. And while we were watching them, we heard other elk, another bull bugle right in over the bank. He seemed like he was on top of us. And we wanted to see what he looked like so bad, but we couldn't move, we didn't push it. And finally, the elk in front of us, the 2 smaller ones, started feeding in over the side. They were going to go down in the canyon to bed up for the day. But this other bull, he was real aggressive. When you heard his bugle, you'd say he was a trophy elk, you know, but he was just a smaller, but he got raking his horns in the mud out there and flipping mud up and doing all kinds of things. What a show he put on for us. But finally, he walked off towards the other elk that we could not see, and that was the perfect opportunity for us to get up and circle around. On the run, on the run. We got him now, I think. We've finally been able to move. Now I'm going to be huffing and puffing. We got everything just right, and we peeked up over that rock, and you should have seen the elk right in front of us. 50 to 100 yards. It was amazing. You know, when we were peeking up over the rock, you know, I was thinking to myself, what an amazing sight, you know, watching all those elk out there. And I think at one time I counted 15 different bulls, and a lot of times we'd have 2 different sets of bulls just sparring out there, fighting a little bit. And I just kept thinking to myself, you know, as a hunter, what a great sight. You know, and then I think we were there for probably about an hour, and finally the elk, they decided they were going to start heading up into the timber to get out of the sun. And I kept seeing a couple spikes looking down through the pasture there, or the meadow, and like something had alerted them. I thought maybe a coyote or something, and finally they just eased on off. So Mark and I are standing there talking a little bit, and we didn't want to spook the elk and leave them go off, and we're talking about what we had just seen, but we got our stuff gathered up and we eased out of there, and you'll never believe what happens next. We both sort of turned around to look back, like we wanted to get one last moment, one last look at what we just seen, and lo and behold, there's a cougar following the elk. Man, we wondered what, right before them elk left, I seen a couple spikes and stuff looking back down in that hole. And I kept looking, I couldn't tell what he was looking at. Mark and I just got up, all the elk left, we started to walk out. Big mountain lion going right after the herd, just sneaking up through there. He's going to get some dinner. You know, after watching all those elk, and then to actually see The first time for me, a mountain lion following the herd, it made my hunt one that I will never forget. Well, the 5th morning of the hunt, we decided to change areas and go look for some mule deer. And Tim had told us every now and then down in this canyon, you might see an elk. You know, when they pull away from the cows, they get down in these draws and just hide. But we worked way down in the canyon, and right at the bottom of it, it gets real tight, real narrow. And we looked up, and there's a big bull elk. And about the same time we see him, he sees us and takes off up over the side. And we get down there trying to get in position for a shot, and there's 2 cows with him. And they're working out along the side, and I just could not get comfortable for a shot. A lot of brush, they never stopped, and you're shooting a long ways. You know, after about an hour or so, we eased on down the canyon. We've been looking for mule deer, seen a few smaller bucks, some does, and we're glassing, and just happened to turn around and look back in that red brush way up in the canyon, and I seen something that looked like something I needed to look at, put my glasses on it, and it's that bull elk laying down up there on the side. So we all get together, and we're a long ways off. And Matt, Tim's son, was along with us on that morning's hunt, and he knew of a ridge that we might be able to sneak up the back side of, and hopefully we could get close enough for a good shot. We got a huge bull bedded up here, up in this deep canyon. We're hiking up over the side, trying to get close enough to him for a shot. Been laying there most of the morning, but the sun's coming up. We're afraid he's going to get up and move into a shady spot, so we're trying to get up here pretty quick. But straight down and straight up.
It's about 418 yards, Terry.
Just up to the
Start
try to get up a little farther.
Yeah, so about that start thistle patch. We can get in there 30 yards on him. And maybe take a look at a shot, huh?
Well, we climbed the side of that ridge, and there's high grass there. We still couldn't see the elk. We could peek up over, and finally we seen him laying up there, bedded yet. You know, when you're shooting that far, I knew I had to have a good rest. I had Mark's backpack, I had Matt's backpack, I had shooting sticks, but the hardest part was the sun had just started coming up over the top, and the glare, you can see it in the footage, was so harsh, I had trouble finding the elk in my scope. I'm having a hard time finding them, guys.
He's walking up the middle there.
He's broadside, right?
Broadside looking at you. About 390. Oh, you dropped him, you dropped him. You dropped him. Okay, watch him, watch him.
Did he go down?
Yes, you can hit the ground hard. Big 10 forward, hit the ground hard, and then make sure he can.
You know, once I got him in my scope and made the shot, I was glad to see that bull go down. You know, what a great hunt.
Oh, man.
We come in here looking for mule deer, and Tim said every now and then
Look at that.
he finds an elk in here. And we come around the corner, and there he is.
He was busting right there, and they came up running up in here with some cows he was chasing, and he didn't stop coming up.
Up and up and up.
Yeah, we caught up to him about 360 yards out.
Well, we left them alone. They laid down, bedded up, you know, and we finally spotted him again.
Yeah.
Come around and got a good stock on him, and you ranged it with that range finder?
360, 370, somewhere around in there, and you gave us the broadside. Finally gave us the broadside shot. Came out of the bushes, and boy, you put him right in the ground. It was an awesome shot.
You know, what a great Western experience. You know, just coming out here in these mountains, and it's just been a great hunt. And I thank Boulder Creek Outfitters, but you know what? Now the work starts.
Yeah, no, work starts. We get to go downhill, but he's a big animal and it'd be a lot of work.